and the universe is made from a conscious energy source, and the research all shows this is science now. The universe is made from a conscious living energy source that can actually think for itself. And this living intelligence binds us all together. So we are all unified in consciousness. We all share a unified consciousness field. Now this is why, for example, when we were talking last week, I showed you the solar cycle. And I showed you how every 11 years, the surface of the sun goes from being very still, like a still pond, to being very fiery and explosive with flares and prominences and sunspots and coronal mass ejections and solar particle emissions and all kinds of stuff that could potentially knock down our power grid even if it hits us. So with all of this stuff going on, with all of these technologies and sciences out there, let's take another camera angle now. With all these sciences out there that are bringing us up to speed on the conscious universe, it can help to explain now why Chejevsky found that people were getting more agitated when the solar activity increases. And so I showed you 80% of all the most significant events on Earth happen during this short period of time where the solar activity is really ramping up. And also economic disasters occur right around these same times of peak solar activity. It's very, very precise. And I showed you two different articles, one where he was predicting an economic collapse in the window of 2006 to 2007. And the 2008 economic collapse actually began in 2007. He predicted this 3 years in advance, 4 years in advance by looking at the solar cycles. And then I showed you that article from Armstrong Economics from 2012, in which he predicted an economic failure that would begin after the next solar cycle, which was in 2019. Sure enough, our new solar cycle 25, began in December of 2019, and immediately thereafter we get COVID and the lockdowns and all the stuff. It's exactly what the solar cycles tell you is supposed to happen. The most significant events on Earth. Okay? But we're not done. We're not done with the most significant events. It's going to go on through the rest of this year and on through the rest of next year. So we're still in the hot zone. But we also talked about Edmund Dewey and that there's 4 periods that happen within the solar cycle that could be likened to the hero's journey, where you have a phase that goes from peaceful contentment, apathy and boredom, and then the people get violated, they get attacked, they get angry, there's a period of great distress, and then the final period is revolution. That's a 4-part formula, and apparently the sun is doing this to everybody. It doesn't matter whether you're completely isolated in Asia or Europe, the same cultures, totally geographically isolated, are having the same influences at the same time. So this 4-part formula that we're in right now, we're in the part where new leaders emerge, new technology emerges. What are we talking about here? We're talking about hover cars, right? All of this is perfectly in alignment with the solar cycle. So how could there be new technology, new breakthroughs in creativity and music and artwork, new leaders emerging, revolutionary uprisings, transformative changes in existing corrupt governments, which lead to a much more peaceful and harmonious world? And then I said the problem is that peace and contentment leads to apathy. That's what we want to avoid. We want to be happy with peace so that we don't need the universe to keep giving us discontent.